I've changed the locks, I've bolted it, I've thrown away the key. Here's a mess inside, you see, and it's not for you to see anymore. The furniture is overturned, the curtains are all torn from the storm that was you leaving on that cold and wretched morn. I can't have guests. I pass the door a dozen times a day, a solid painted white. I don't go in, I just make sure it's shut up good and tight against the memory. Sometimes I hear a sound from in there, a sob, a ragged sigh, but I've trained myself to ignore it, to just walk on by and live in the hallway. My heart is a locked room and I am the caretaker, the cleaner, the guard, the lonely speaker. To the silence inside, I keep the exterior polished, I keep the hallway neat, so no one suspects the chaotic, sad defeat that's boxed up behind the door. One day, maybe I'll be brave, I'll take a deep breath and go and start sorting through the wreckage where our love had been and begin the cleanup. But my heart is a locked room, and for now it's safer shut, out of sight, out of mind, but never out of what it holds you. People knock sometimes, a kind hand, a curious face. Can I come in? They ask with gentle, hopeful grace. I always say no, I'm not ready for the inspection, for the light to hit the dust, for someone to see the rust on the dreams we stored in there. Maybe one day the lock will rust, the door will swing ajar, and a new clear light will reach that old familiar scar and sanitize it. Maybe I'll air it out, repaint and make it new, a study or a sunroom with a completely different view of the world. But for now it's a tomb, a reliquary of pain, and I'm the priestess who must explain to no one why it stays closed. My heart is a locked room and I am the caretaker, the cleaner, the guard, the lonely speaker. To the silence inside, I keep the exterior polished, I keep the hallway neat, so no one suspects the chaotic, sad defeat that's boxed up behind the door. One day, maybe I'll be brave, I'll take a deep breath and go and start sorting through the wreckage where our love had been and begin the cleanup. But my heart is a locked room, and for now it's safer shut, out of sight, out of mind, but never out of what it holds you. Then gloom and gloom, my heart a locked room. I see it from our cliffside on the clearest, bluest days, a faint and hazy ribbon where the ocean meets the haze of forever. That's where you are, I'm certain, on that far and different land, building castles in the sand with a different willing hand than mine. We were two continents once, pushed together by a drift, a temporary merging, a monumental shift in my geography. But the plates moved on as plates are destined to do, pulling us apart, leaving a wide and watery view between our hearts. And you're a love's distant shore, a silhouette against the sun, a story I imagined, but a story that's now done. For me, I can't bridge this ocean, I don't have the boat or will. The current's too against me, and the crossing would just kill what's left of me. So I just stand and watch, a lonely figure on the high, waving at a memory in the fading evening light that never waves back. You're on love's distant shore, and I am stranded here with the echo of the tide and the soul sting of a tear, and the vast uncrossable between. Maybe one day I'll turn my back, build a home here on my cliff, plant a garden in the rocky soil, make my own life rich and sufficient. But for now, my eyes are drawn to that impossible line, a habit of the heart, a stupid old design of hope. Maybe every lost love creates a new shoreline in the soul, a border to a country you can no longer control or visit. Maybe the distance is the point, maybe the far away is kind, a merciful obscuring of the details left behind in the wreckage of the union. Maybe it's better as a mirage, a beautiful what if than a place you could ever visit. And you're on love's distant shore, a silhouette against the sun, a story I imagined, but a story that's now done. For me, I can't bridge this ocean, I don't have the boat or will. The current's too against me, and the crossing would just kill what's left of me. So I just stand and watch, a lonely figure on the hide, waving at a memory in the fading evening light that never waves back. You're on love's distant shore, and I am stranded here with the echo of the tide and the salt sting of a tear, and the vast uncrossable between horizon line. Not mine, love's distant shore. Forevermore. I see you with her now, in photos others tag. Your arm is around her shoulder, you're holding the same bag. You held for me, you're taking her to restaurants we discovered first, repeating all our stories rehearsed for a new audience. She laughs at your same joke, she wears her hair the same. She's playing out the script, but she doesn't know the name of the original actress. You've cast her in my role and understudied for the lead, telling her the lines that I helped you plant the seed to grow. But she just loves pale imitation and cheap reprinted art, a tracing of a feeling that's been torn apart and glued back poorly. You're trying to recreate the weather of a different year, but the climate's changed and the reason isn't here. In her eyes or in your heart, it's a hollow sad rerun, a cover of a song where all the magic notes are painfully wrong and off key. She loves pale imitation, and you're the forger, don't you see? Trying to sell a copy of what you had with me to yourself, and the price is the future and my past. I almost feel sorry for this ghost in my old clothes, walking down the path where my shadow still grows. Long in the evening sun, she'll figure it out soon. The emptiness in your embrace, the way you're looking past her at a long race and faded face. Maybe we all do this, try to replicate a lost perfect thing with a newer, shinier, less complicated ring of a person. But love isn't a formula, it can't be reproduced. The chemistry was specific and it's been reduced to a sad generic compound. You can't clone a feeling, you can only mourn its death and start from scratch with a new unique breath of life. But she just loves pale imitation and cheap reprinted art, a tracing of a feeling that's been torn apart and glued back poorly. You're trying to recreate the weather of a different year, but the climate's changed and the reason isn't here. In her eyes or in your heart, it's a hollow sad rerun, a cover of a song where all the magic notes are painfully wrong and off key. She loves pale imitation, and you're the forger, don't you see? Trying to sell a copy of what you had with me to yourself, and the price is her future and my past. Where it's at is gone. Love's pale imitation is a sad, slow dawn. I've been too late for you, or maybe too sore, under a frosty, unforgiving moon. Of your attention, my petals were brave, defying red against the white, a shock of color in the barren fading light of our November. You admired me from the window, called me a beautiful surprise, but you never came to claim me, to shield me from the skies that would freeze me. You left me to the elements, to the biting cool air, a decoration for your view without a single care for my roots. I was your winter rose, a lovely, fragile, temporary thing, a stash of beauty for a season before the suffering of the deep cold. You never intended to transplant me, to bring me inside, to nurture me, let me in your warmth. To bypass the door, you just watch me struggle, watch my color slowly drain, until I was just a memory of a stubborn survive the chill. A love that's only what I'm meant to. It's a love that will eventually snow was covered where I stood, a smooth and silent sheet. And you've radically forgotten me, unlikely, brief and sweet. Sight of me, but in some hidden frozen part of the earth, my roots are deep. In that sleeping, gathering strength, the promise I will keep to myself. Maybe a winter rose is the strongest kind to bloom against the odds, to know the touch of ice, to feel the frozen gods, and still show color. Maybe my next goal will be for me in a different screen, where my beauty isn't just a temporary fleeting thing for someone's window. Maybe I'll be a garden rose, love for my lasting sun, not just a brave anomaly too quickly spent. I was your winter rose, a lovely, fragile, temporary thing, a splash of beauty for a season before the suffering of the deep cold. You never intended to transplant me, to bring me inside, to nurture me, to let me in your arms. To bypass the door, you just watched me struggle, watched my color slowly drain, until I was just a memory of a stubborn, lovely pain in your landscape. I was your winter rose, and I couldn't survive the chill. Love that's only ornamental is a True north, my fixed and steady point, the star by which I set my sail, the anointed one for me. Every decision I made was checked against your gaze. Would he approve? Would it amaze? My internal navigation was you. But your north shifted subtly, a degree at a time, until the map ahead of us was no longer in its prime or accurate. I kept following the needle, but it led me into rocks, into confusing, swirling paradox of your changing mind. Now I'm left with love's broken compass, spinning wildly in my hand, pointing everywhere and nowhere across this empty land of aftermath. I don't know which way is up, which way leads home. I'm utterly, completely, devastatingly alone. Without a guide, I try to use the sun, the old reliable way, but my heart is clouded over. It's a permanent gray day of confusion, love's broken compass, and I have to learn to read the signs, the moss on trees, the way the river winds by myself. It's terrifying, this freedom, this vast and blank expanse. Every choice is mine, every single chance to get lost. Sometimes I just sit down and cry, wishing for the simple lie of your direction neath the trusted sky that's gone. Maybe a broken compass is a gift in its own painful way, forcing you to find your own true north, to face the day without a crutch. Maybe my north is my own heart, my own steady beat. Maybe my destination is the ground beneath my feet, right here, right now. Maybe the journey is the point, not the end. Which way is up, which way leads home? I'm utterly, completely, devastatingly alone. Without a guide, I try to use the sun, the old reliable way, but my heart is clouded over. It's a permanent gray day of confusion, love's broken compass, and I have to learn to read the signs, the moss on trees, the way the river winds by my with my own worth. Love's broken compass leads to my rebirth. We planted in the springtime with such hopeful eager hands, till the soil of our future across the promising lands of our youth. We sowed the seeds of laughter, of trust, of shared desire. We dreamed of a bounty that would never tire of giving. But we must have mixed the seas, or the weather turned unkind, because what grew was twisted, a different thing in mind and in heart. The fruit of our labor was small and hard and sour to taste. The vines of our commitment were tangled in a waste of neglect. And this is a love's bitter harvest, the yield of our decay, the shriveled meager produce of our love gone astray. In the field I walk the rows alone now, with a basket full of rot, everything we work for coming to naught. In my hands I can't even compost it to feed another year. The bitterness is systemic, it's rooted in the fear. That was our water, this is love's bitter harvest, and I must clear the land. Let it lie fallow until I must cleanse. How to grow something sweet for just one. Next year I'll plant a smaller garden, just what I need to eat. No more grand ambitious plans, no more defeat. On such a scale, maybe just some herbs, some simple easy greens, things that don't require such elaborate means or such a partner. Maybe the bitter harvest is the necessary end of a crop that wasn't right, a message to send to the farmer to study the soil better, to know what it can bear, to plant for sustenance and not just for the air of a dream that's too big for the plot. And this is love's bitter harvest, the yield of our decay, the shriveled meager produce of our love gone astray. In the field I walk the rows alone now, with a basket full of rot, everything we work for coming to naught. In my hands I can't even compost it to feed another year. The bitterness is systemic, it's rooted in the fear. That was our water, this is love's bitter harvest, and I must clear the land. Let it lie fallow until I understand how to grow something sweet for just one. Plow it under the mistake of thunder and blunder. Love's bitter harvest hides under. We launched with such fanfare, champagne breaking on the bow. The flags were flying proudly, we had made our solemn vow. To the sea we were the captains and the crew, the dreamers in the dream, sailing in a sunrise on a perfect golden gleam. first small leap was pride, a crack we didn't mend. Then came the storm of silence that seemed would never end. All clear we took on water, slowly bailing with our hands, trying to reach a shoreline, trying to save the lands we mapped together. Now my love is a sinking ship, taking on the deep, a slow and graceful descent into a permanent sleep beneath the waves. I'm standing on the listing deck, the cold wind in my hair, watching you roll away from me, the only lifeboat there. Without a glance back, the mast is snapping, the sails are in the sea, and all that's left is the water claiming me, and the memory of the voyage, my love, a sinking ship, and I go down with it, not a fight, not a scream, I just submit to the weight of what we built and what we broke. The water's at my ankles, then my knees are cold embrace. I think of all the treasures we stored in this place, now lost to the brine, our jokes, our secret language, the way you said my name, all dissolving in the salt, all part of the same final quiet plunge. Maybe every great love has to sink to become a legend, a ghost, a story told in whispers along a haunted coast by survivors. Maybe my job is to sink with dignity, to not cling to the rail, to feel the final freezing pull, to know I did not fail. The love itself, only its preservation. The love was real, the ship is wood and nail. Now my love is a sinking ship, taking on the deep, a slow and graceful descent into a permanent sleep beneath the waves. I'm standing on the listing deck, the cold wind in my hair, watching you roll away from me, the only lifeboat there. Without a glance back, the mast is snapping, the sails are in the sea, and all that's left is the water claiming me, the memory of the voyage, my love, a sinking ship, and I go down with it, not a fight, not a scream, I just submit to the weight of what we built and what we broke. Clock, a final tug, my love, a sinking ship, a long, slow trip to the bottom. It's not a nightmare, not with monsters, not with falling from a height. It's just our old apartment, bathed in morning golden light. And you're still there, you're making coffee, humming some forgotten tune. And I am in the doorway, thinking this will all be over soon. But it never is. The dream is so specific, the chip in the blue mug you use, the pattern of your robe, the morning news left on the counter. We talk about our plans for Saturday, a movie maybe tight, a perfect, boring normalcy beneath a clear, unending sky of contentment. But it's the dream I can't wake from, a loop of gentle lies, a beautiful, relentless torture beneath my sleeping eyes. Night after night, I know it's not real. Even as I'm dreaming it, a part of me is screaming, this is it, this is it. But the dream just smiles and pours more coffee, and I wake up not with the start, but with a slow dissolving heart in the real empty dawn. It's the dream I can't wake from, and I dread going to sleep, because the happiness I find there is a promise I can't keep with myself or with the day. I've tried pills, I've tried staying up, I've tried changing every sheet, but the dream finds a way in. It's a bittersweet retreat. I can't control my subconscious, is a museum, and it won't shut its doors. It insists on showing me the life that isn't ours anymore. Maybe dreams are where lost love goes to live out its full span. Maybe my mind is just a kinder, more forgiving man than reality. Maybe one night the dream will change. You'll pack a bag, you'll leave, and I'll finally, truly, completely grieve in my sleep and wake up free. But it's the dream I can't wake from, a loop of gentle lies, a beautiful, relentless torture beneath my sleeping eyes. Night after night, I know it's not real. Even as I'm dreaming it, a part of me is screaming, this is it, this is it. But the dream just smiles and pours more coffee, and I wake up not with the start, but with a slow dissolving heart in a real empty dawn. It's the dream I can't wake from, and I dread going to sleep, because the happiness I find there is a promise I can't keep with myself or with the day. Dream on, the calm is strong, the dream I can't wake from. I can't wake from Islam. It used to be a rainforest, lush and green and deep, with waterfalls, a feeling that I couldn't seem to keep from overflowing. Every inch was fertile, every corner held a bloom. There was no room for gloom in that perfumed room of my soul. But you were a drought that lasted years, a slow and sucking heat. You drank my every river, left me parched and incomplete and begging. And when you finally left, you took the last clouds with you too, leaving a vast and empty, merciless blue sky. sky of silence. No, my heart is a desert, a barren, endless plain, where the ghost of love is just a shimmering high pain. On the horizon, nothing grows here anymore, just the occasional taffy of a memory, a stubborn, lonely sea. To be a camel, to store what little moisture I can assemble from my old tears, which are rare. A mirage appears, the shape of a new love green, but I know better than to run. I know what it will mean, disappointment, so I stay in my familiar scorching solitary state. It's a hell, but it's a hell I know. It's my fate for now. Its desert phase, a necessary emptiness, a sun-bleached days before a new unknown ecosystem dares to try. But for now it's sand and sky, and the aching question why echoes in the canvas. Now my heart is a desert, a barren, endless pain, where the ghost of love is just a shimmering hot pain. On the horizon, nothing grows here anymore, just the occasional weed of a memory, a stubborn, lonely sea. Was the winds of time, just shiftless sands covering the tracks where we walk together. There's no going back to an oasis of my heart, a desert now, and I'm learning to be a camel, to store what little moisture I can assemble from my own tears, which are too soon. Win my heart. used to be a rainforest. You're my home. I paid in time the richest coin I'll ever own. Years of my youth on a love that's overgrown. His account I invested, trust, a fortune that I'll never see again. I spent my laughter freely, thought it was a dividend that would keep paying. You took withdrawals of my peace, of my solitary dreams. You charged me interest on my hopes with your silent cold extremes of distance. And in the end, the ledger showed a devastating sum, a lifetime of emotional income wiped out, bankrupt. This is love's costly currency, and I am overdrawn, left with the debt of moving on, of waking up at dawn. I gave you everything that couldn't be replaced, and you left me with the empty vault, the hollow echoing space of my finances. A feeling now I'm fiscally responsible with my heart, guarding every penny, scared to even start a new transaction. Love's costly currency taught me the price of we, and now the cost of being just me feels astronomically high. I'm rebuilding slowly with a strict and careful budget of joy, a small safe savings of hope that no one can destroy again. But sometimes I see a reckless spender, a wild smiling face, and my old investor's heart wants to jump back in the race. But I check my balance. Maybe love is always a gamble, an unsecured loan. Maybe some hearts are just AMs left standing alone. When the account is drained, maybe my fortune was in the giving, not in what I got. Maybe the bankruptcy is a lesson hard learned and hard fought in the marketplace of the soul. This is love, costly currency, and I am overdrawn, left with the debt of moving on, of waking up at dawn. I gave you everything that couldn't be replaced, and you left me with the empty vault, the hollow echoing space of my finances. A feeling now I'm fiscally responsible with my heart, guarding every penny, scared to even start a new transaction. Love's costly currency taught me the price of we, and now the cost of being just me feels astronomically high. In the red, what I said was I do. Love's costly currency broke me in two. It's not the big things I miss most, not the trips or the grand display. It's the specific weight of your hand on the small of my back, in a casual way. Walking through a crowd, it's the callus on your thumb, rubbing circles on my palm during a movie, a silent, calming balm against the world. It's the way you push my hair behind my ear, not for romance, just to see my face. It's the solid press of your shoulder against mine on the old worn settee, reading separate books. These are the ghosts that haunt me, these tactile tiny proofs of a physical language that live beneath the roofs of our skin. And it's the memory of touch that undoes me in the grocery line, a brush from a stranger, and I'm lost in the design of your fingerprints. My body is a museum of your hands, of your specific heat, a map of absences that makes my own pulse beat. A lonely rhythm I can close my eyes and feel it, the exact pressure, the exact places. If my nerves are keeping a separate stubborn case for your return, the memory of touch is the most persistent ghost. It doesn't fade with photos or with words, it boasts a physical reality in a body you left behind. Now my skin is just a boundary, a wall, a silent sheet, holding in the memories from my head down to my feet. Of you I try to override it with new blankets, with my own self-hold, but the memory is etched in the very cells I'm told, and they don't forget. Maybe touch is the first language and the last one to depart. Maybe we store our lovers in the chambers of the heart and the skin. Maybe the memory of touch is love's most faithful scribe, writing a story on the body's vulnerable vibe. Long after the mind has filed the paperwork of over. And it's the memory of touch that undoes me in the grocery line, a brush from a stranger, and I'm lost in the design of your fingerprints. My body is a museum of your hands, of your specific heat, a map of absences that makes my own pulse beat. A lonely rhythm I can close my eyes and feel it, the exact pressure, the exact place, as if my nerves are keeping a separate stubborn case for your return. The memory of touch is the most persistent ghost. It doesn't fade with photos or with words, it boasts a physical reality in a body you left behind. A phantom limb, a hymn on the skin. The memory of touch burns within. It wasn't even our song, not the one we claimed and saved, just some random pop hit that the universe once played in the background. It was on in the car that sweltered in July, when you reached across the console with a sunbeam in your eye and touched my knee. It was playing in the drugstore when we were buying cold supplies, both of us sick and miserable, but laughing at our watery eyes. A shared pathetic moment, now it's just a song on a playlist. best an algorithm's guess, but it lands like a body blow, a storm of yes, 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 I remember. And the song reminds me of 1,000 tiny things, the stupid, insignificant, glorious strings of moments that made us. Not the anniversaries, not the trips, not the grand, but the way you'd hum off key, the warmth of your hand on a Tuesday. It's a time machine in 3 minutes flat, and I'm powerless against that sonic ambush. The song reminds me, and I can't hit skip fast enough. It's a ghost in the speakers, a whisper, a puff of a life that was mine. I've tried to hate the band, the singer, the beat, the tone, but it's woven in the fabric of a love that's overgrown and died. So I let it play sometimes when I'm feeling strong and brave, and I ride the wave of memory to the emotional grave of what we were in the cereal aisle, the parking lot, the drive. It keeps us alive in a way. Maybe grief lives in the mundane, in the uncurated tracks, in the things you never think to protect from the attacks of remembering. Maybe the most powerful ghosts are the ones you didn't name, the ones that sneak up on you and play their little game of remember when. And the song reminds me of 1,000 tiny things, the stupid, insignificant, glorious strings of moments that made us. Not the anniversaries, not the trips, not the grand, but the way you'd hum off key, the warmth of your hand on a Tuesday. It's a time machine in 3 minutes flat, and I'm powerless against that sonic ambush. The song reminds me, and I can't hit skip fast enough. It's a ghost in the speakers, a whisper, a puff of a life that was mine. Da 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 dun dun. Da 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 dun dun. The song reminds me, and then it's done, leaving me in the sun of a past is spun, of a past is spun. In the guest room closet, on the lowest, deepest shelf, behind old worn-out blankets, I found it by myself. Tonight the little nightlight, shaped like a crescent moon, we bought it for your nephew one afternoon. A lifetime ago, you must have plugged it in. The last time you stayed there, a small automatic gesture, a tiny thread of care left behind, and it's been glowing all this time in the empty, closed up dark, a secret it whispers, and I thought of you or not, but part of me is lingering in this little moonlit spot in the house of our ending. You left the light on, and I can't bring myself to switch it off. It's the last connection, however faint and small and soft, to the man who might have loved me once. I'll leave it there, burn in its tiny, wasteful bit of power, a monument to a sweetness in a final closing hour I didn't witness. Maybe it will burn out on its own in a year or 2 or 10, and by then I won't remember where or why or when it ever mattered. Maybe we all leave little lights in the houses of our past, small glowing habits that we didn't know would last. We are leaving, maybe they're not meant to be found. Maybe they just are tiny, persistent echoes of who we were before. We've drifted from that version of ourselves. You left the light on, a small and forgotten act, a toy of the red lights, a simple loving fact, or a careless habit. It feels like a message now. Can the silent bluish glow a signal meant for me? Though you'll never know I found it. I was here, it whispers, and I thought of you or not, but part of me is lingering in this little moonlit spot in the house of our ending. You left the light on, and I can't bring myself to switch it off. It's the last connection, however faint and small and soft, to the man who might have loved me once. A moon in a closet, I'll close it, but the lights stay gone. You left the light on long after you were gone. In the guest room closet, in a closet, I'll close it, but the light stays on. You guest room closed. I've written all the scenes now, the meet cute and the rise, the cozy middle chapters under comfortable skies of routine. I've penned the conflicts, the making up, the growth. I've documented faithfully, made a solemn oath to the narrative. But the plot has run its course, the characters have changed, the setting's grown familiar, and everything's arranged for an ending. I've tried rewriting, adding twists, a sudden bold surprise, but the story wants to finish, it's there in your eyes, and in the tired pages. So this is love's final chapter, a short and quiet read, no grand climax, no villain to impede. Our part in just a turning of a page, a settling of dust, a quiet acknowledgement of broken trust in different directions. The last line is simple, it just says, and then they parted ways. It hangs there in the silence for the rest of my days, to interpret love's final chapter. And I close the book myself and place it on a memory shelf, somewhere high and out of reach. Maybe someday I'll write a sequel with a different protagonist, a story of a woman who managed to resist the same old plot. But for now, the library of my heart is this one finished tome, a story of a girl who built a fragile, lovely home in a man who was a rental. Maybe the final chapter is the most important one. It gives the story meaning, shows what the heroes won or lost. And in my case, I lost the love, but won the wisdom, sharp and clear. The final chapter whispered, you are still here, and that's a story in itself. So this is love's final chapter, a short and quiet read, no grand climax, no villain to impede. Our part in just a turning of a page, a settling of dust, a quiet acknowledgement of broken trust in different directions. The last line is simple, it just says, and then they parted ways. It hangs there in the silence for the rest of my days, to interpret love's final chapter. And I close the book myself and place it on a memory shelf, somewhere high and out of reach. In the period, my friend, love's final chapter, no happily ever after. Hangs in the dimmest corner, where the sunlight rarely goes, a portrait of our younger selves in formal Sunday clothes. We hated, we laughed through the city, the artist scolded us, be still. But the joy is captured there against our post and stubborn will, in oil and canvas. For years it was the centerpiece, the pride of our small home, a statement to the world that we would never be alone. We're faded, but time works on plate as it works on skin and bone. The colors lose their vibrancy, the details overgrown. It's a yellowing varnish that's lost fading culture, a ghost of what we were. The outlines are still there, but the features are a blur of memory I can barely make out. Sparkle in your eye, the exact shade of the tie you wore, the reason why we thought this would last forever. You still coming at times, a suggestion of her face, more about the feeling and less about the grace of her likeness. It's love's fading portrait, and maybe that's for the best. The less I see of us, the more I can rise in the knowledge that it's over. I don't take it down to clean it, I don't try to restore its form of blaring brightness. I don't love us anymore, and I forgot I let the faith continue, restoring natural death until it's just a smear of color, just a held breath on the wall. Maybe your portraits fade, maybe that's their final truthful state. Not a record, but an echo arriving late to tell the story. Maybe the fading is the portrait's almost sudden start. Acknowledgement right from the start, that nothing stays. Now it flows, fading portrait, a ghost of what we were. The outlines are still there, the features are a blur of memory I can barely make out. The sparkle in your eye, the exact shade of the tie you wore, the reason why we thought this would last forever. It's becoming abstract art, a suggestion of a face, about the feeling, less about the grace of the likeness. Is the love's fading portrait, and maybe that's for the best. The less I see of us, the more I can rest in the knowledge that it's over. Fade to gray, fade away, lost photograph it on a chart, the trajectory of we, a steep and steady climb, then a flat and happy sea. For a while the x-axis is the time, the y-axis is the heat, the passion, the connection, the feeling so complete. It felt like forever. But then the line begins to wobble, a slight and subtle dip, a missed goodnight kiss, a snippy conversational slip. We brushed aside, then the dips grow deeper, more frequent, less repaired. The line is trending downward, and I was unprepared for the math of it. It was love's sharp decline, a statistical shortfall, not a crash but a correction, predicted after all by the data. We ignore the early warning signs, the outliers of pain. Hoping the regression line would climb up once again to its former height, but the slope was negative, the R-squared value high. The correlation between your distance and my cry was perfect. It was love's sharp decline, and I'm left with the empty grab, proof that our love was just a simple photograph of a line going down. Now I'm a scientist of sorrow, studying the why, rerunning all the numbers neath the cold analytical sky of reason. But numbers don't capture the color of your eyes in the sun, or the way the ending had already begun. In 1,000 tiny unplotted moments, maybe love isn't data, maybe it can't be defined by slopes and intercepts, by rational mind at all. But in the aftermath, the graph is a comfort, a cold hard fact, a way to understand the brutal loving act of falling out of love. It was inevitable, the numbers seem to say. So why does my heart still argue every single day? It was love's sharp decline, a statistical shortfall, not a crash but a correction, predicted after all by the data. We ignore the early warning signs, the outliers of pain. Hoping the regression line would climb up once again to its former height, but the slope was negative, the R-squared value high. The correlation between your distance and my cry was perfect. It was love's sharp decline, and I'm left with the empty grab, proof that our love was just a simple photograph of a line going down. Axis broken, words is broken, words sharp decline is a dotted line to mine, not ours. You weren't announcing ever that you were the thrill. Why? The mystery I wanted to solve beneath the sky of my curiosity. You were the riddle in the book, the code I longed to crack, the path that doubled back the thing I always lacked, a clear solution. I spent years studying you, taking notes on all your moves, collecting data, breaking through your solitary boots to find the key. And just when I thought I had it, the answer in my hand, you changed the variables, you'd shift the shifting sand beneath my theory. But you are the question, not the answer, don't you see? And I was just a desperate student trying to be worthy of the puzzle I built my life around, the solving, around the chase. I mistook the mystery for a kind of grace that would lead to a home. But some questions are meant to be answered, they're meant to be asked, and then released the beautiful, impossible task to hold you were the question. And I exhausted myself in the search. Now I'm left with the silence of a lonely, empty church where I worshipped the unknown. Now I'm learning to love the silence, the not knowing, the plain, the simple statements of the day without the strain of deciphering you. It's boring and it's peaceful and it's mine. And maybe the next love will be a clear, straight line, a declarative sentence. Maybe we all have a question person who defines us by the taste, who teaches us more about our own hungry, seeking face than about love. Maybe the purpose was never to solve them, but to be solved ourselves, to see how deeply into our own interior we delve. When faced with an enigma, you are my enigma, and I solve myself in trying to solve you. The answer is always I am enough, with or without the clue. Of your love, but you are the question, not the answer. Gone, you see. And I was just a desperate student trying to be worthy of the puzzle I built my life around, the solving, around the chase. I mistook the mystery for a kind of grace that will lead to a home. And some questions I daring to be answered, they're meant to be asked, and then released, a beautiful, impossible task to hold you were the question. And I It's on the wall in the hallway, a vintage ticking thing. We bought it at a flea market the day you gave me the ring, a placeholder. It chimed on every hour, a soft and gentle sound, marking the happy moments on our shared familiar ground of time. But then the batteries died, or maybe the spring just broke, and we kept meaning to fix it, but it became a joke, then a fixture, a silent Dakota relic of a day we both forgot, a symbol of the time that we had and then had not the energy to maintain. Now it's the clock we forgot to win, a frozen point in time, the hands are stuck at 4 or 3, a perfect silent rhyme for our ending. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the last of our good days, before the slow unraveling, before the parting ways begin in earnest. And now it just hangs there, a beautiful broken light, a reminder that we let us just quietly die of inattention. It's the clock we forgot, and I can't bring myself to fix it now. It tells the truer time somehow of when we stopped caring. Sometimes I think I'll take it down, donate it, set it free, but it's stubborn. Silent face feels like the only part of we that's honest. It's not pretending to tell time, it's not trying to move on. It's just a testament to the moment that the love was gone, and we didn't even notice. Maybe I'll die in relationships, have a forgotten clock somewhere, a stop moment that was actually a silent deep repair that never happened. Maybe 4 or 3 on a Tuesday is the last time we were okay, and everything after was just the slow decay of that moment, and the clock knows it and refuses to move past. Now it's the clock we forgot to win, a frozen point in time, the hands are stuck at 4 or 3, a perfect silent rhyme for our ending. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the last of our good days, before the slow unraveling, before the parting ways began in earnest. And now it just hangs there, a beautiful broken light, a reminder that we let our rush just quietly die of inattention. And it's the clock we forgot, and I can't bring myself to fix it now. It tells the truer time somehow of when we stopped caring. Is the time I got. We stood at the junction, the map spread in your hands. One path led to mountains, the other to the sand. Of a different dream, I pointed to the mountains. We could build a cabin there. You looked at the open road with a far-off longing still. dear. I knew then. We tried to make a compromise, a third way undefined. But a heart that wants the highway can't be easily confined. To a yard I felt you pacing in the evenings, heard you sighing in your sleep. The call of the horizon was a promise you would keep, with or without me. And you chose the road, the long and lonesome one, the one that promised freedom neath the wandering sun. And a new start, I chose to settle in the roots that guarded flame. And in the end we couldn't bear to play the other's game of life. It wasn't wrong, it wasn't cruel, it was just a different need. You were born to be a number, and I was born to see the garden. You chose the road, and I had to let you go. Now I watch the sunset from my porch, and I know you're watching a different one. I hear you've made it to the coast, you send a postcard now and then, a picture of a sunset with the simple words again. And I'm happy for you in a distant aching way. I've planted apple trees here, and they're blooming in the May. Sunshine, maybe love isn't always about choosing each other, but choosing truth to the deepest song inside you, even if it means you're through. As a pair, maybe the greatest gift we gave was not holding on too tight, was saying go be who you are, find your light, even if it dims mine for a while. And you chose the road, the long and lonesome one, the one that promised freedom neath the wandering sun. And a new start, I chose to settle in the roots that guarded flame. And in the end we couldn't bear to play the other's game of life. It wasn't wrong, it wasn't cruel, it was just a different need. You were born to be a nomad, and I was born to see the garden. You chose the road, and I had to let you go. Now I watch the sunset from my porch, and I know you're watching a different one. You didn't just leave, you took the atmosphere, the light. You pulled the very daytime into your permanent night. Away from me, the world is in perpetual twilight now, a gray and muted hue. The colors all are diluted because I lost you, and the sun with you. I remember how it felt, the warmth upon my skin, when your love was like a summer that I was living in. without a care. Now I'm a planet in a frozen orbit, far from any star, trying to remember what the feeling was. How bizarre to be warm. You took the sun when you left, you stole the source of heat, left me in an endless, chilling, incomplete. In shadowed season, I'm trying to grow in this dim light, but my leaves are pale and small. I'm reaching for a memory, for the rise and fall of a day I knew. You took the sunrise with your smile, you took the noon with your laugh. You packed the sunset in your bag on my behalf. I'm left with the moon, you took the sun, and I don't know how to make my own. I'm just a body frozen, utterly alone in the dark you left behind. People tell me time will heal, you'll find another light, but they don't understand. You were my day, my night, my solar system, and now I'm drifting in a void, a cold and empty space. No gravity to hold me, no familiar face of a sunrise to orient me. Maybe one day I'll learn to be a sun myself, to generate the glow, to be the center of a system that I've come to know and own. But for now I'm just a rock reflecting what little light gets through from distant other stars that have nothing to do with you or me or us. You took the sun when you left, you stole the source of heat, left me in an endless, chilling, incomplete. In shadowed season, I'm trying to grow in this dim light, but my leaves are pale and small. I'm reaching for a memory, for the rise and fall of a day I knew. You took the sunrise with your smile, you took the noon with your laugh. You packed the sunset in your bag on my behalf. I'm